Good afternoon, and welcome to the first day of the 2020 Online Hope. We have an entire week of experts bringing caregivers the education and support needed to improve caregiving skills. Our team has worked hard to provide you, the caregiver, with the programs and services you expect from Alzheimer's Arkansas. We could not do this without our community partners and sponsors. I would like to take a moment to thank Elder Independence, CareLink, Avenir Memory Care, and Everett Buick GMC for supporting Alzheimer's Arkansas and the caregivers. Before I begin my presentation, let's take a moment to hear from the sponsor of the day.
You may have heard it said, the only thing constant in life is change. Well, one thing that hasn't changed is our family-owned, customer-friendly sales and service here at Everett Buick GMC. Our customers have told us over and over again it's the best car buying experience they've ever had. We call it the Everett difference. Come see us and discover a better way to buy your next new or pre-owned vehicle. That's Everett Buick GMC and online at everettbgmc.com.
Thank you, Everett, for allowing us to bring you our presentation today. Today, I'm going to talk about caregiving necessities, things that caregivers need to know and need to try to practice during their caregiving experience. Now, I really kind of gained these from like all my phone calls and conversations that I've had with caregivers throughout the last few years. So of course, it's not going to give you a full detail of everything you need. However, this is like the most common things that I hear from caregivers. So we do have a few. I went the wrong way. Give me a moment. Okay. I got to get used to this, please. So we're going to talk about the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia. I think that's very important in your caregiving journey, that we do understand the difference. We're going to look at some common behaviors and maybe some ways to manage those behaviors. And of course, one of the most important things in your caregiver journey is how to manage your stress and things to make your caregiving experience manageable. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia. So the reality is Alzheimer's is a type of dementia. So a lot of times caregivers or their loved ones, they get a dementia diagnosis. So when they get a dementia diagnosis, they really don't know what it means. So dementia is a decline in memory or reasoning, things that happens in our brain. So there has to be a decline, and it has to affect your everyday living, causing some kind of impairment. So Alzheimer's is the most common type of dementia. So dementia is in itself a group of symptoms that interfere with daily function. It is not a disease. Dementia is always progressive, which means that it is going to get worse. It is not going to get any better. Although some days may seem better than other days, the disease itself is not going to improve. There is no cure for dementia, and it cannot be stopped. So at this point in our research, there is nothing out there that can really stop the progression. I know we hear a lot about take certain vitamins, do certain things. However, for the most part, it cannot. There are some drugs that slow down the progression. However, at some point, it is going to stop working and the disease is going to progress. So how do you get a dementia diagnosis, you may ask? So for the most part, you have to have two impairments. These impairments include things that have to do with our brain processes: forgetfulness, reasoning, the inability to recognize common items and common things, confusion, and problem-solving skills. Now, there are many forms of dementia. In some research, I read over 100 types, 150 types. However, Dementia, the umbrella term, which is a collection of symptoms. So if you think about the umbrella, each one of those spokes could represent a symptom, the forgetfulness, the inability to recognize common things. So as those spokes build, you get the umbrella and many types of dementia. Alzheimer's happens to be the most common type of dementia. Then you have Lewy bodies and vascular and other types. And you also can have mixed dementia. So when you hear the diagnosis dementia, remember it is not a disease, however, it is a condition. And the only way you can truly tell which type is looking at the symptoms or at autopsy, because each one of the dementias affects a different part of the brain. Vascular dementia, for example, could happen because of a stroke, and it is maybe a certain type of your brain, part of your brain is affected. So whichever that part of your brain is affected, then that's the type of dementia, or that's where your symptoms would come from. So if you don't learn anything today, remember that dementia is not a disease. It is a collection of symptoms, and Alzheimer's is the most common type of dementia. So, one thing that is very difficult for us people to understand is a lot of times with us with brain functioning, like you can't see anything wrong with people. So maybe they have good, especially in the beginning, good social skills, good coping skills, good ways to cover up how things are their functioning of their life is affected. So let's say if it's your partner and they forget how to do something, they just stop doing it, and you as the caregiver or your loved one, you really don't recognize they don't know how to do it, they just stop doing it. So when you think about the brain, we can't see what's going on. So I like to show this slide to show the differences between how a normal brain functions and how Alzheimer's disease brain function. And when you just kind of look at it, you see how the normal brain is lit up, it has a lot of red, it has a lot of activity, and no hole in the middle. However, with the Alzheimer's brain, you can see how the activity has lessened and there's a hole, and the brain just is not functioning like it used to. So as we go through these symptoms, I want you to remember that no two people with dementia are the same. Now, no one is going to get the same symptoms. Nobody is going to respond the same. So that's what kind of makes dementia and Alzheimer's difficult, because there's really not like this set of this is going to happen, this is going to happen. It just depends on the person. So let's take a look at some signs of dementia. So some of the most important things to remember that when we look at this, remember it has to impair your daily functioning. So I'm going to tell you that I have had some issues, and as we age, we get some issues, and when we lose concentration or not pay attention, yes, some of these things happen, but have these things start to cause an impairment or something happened, let me go back, or have they started to cause our lives like issues? So misplacing things. Do your person or do you misplace things? Now, I misplace things on the daily, especially my keys and my cell phone. But that's normal. That's normal in my life. I have lost my keys and my cell phone. However, like I can backtrack to find them. The ability to backtrack does play an important part in understanding that you have an issue. If you can backtrack, then misplacing things may not be an issue as much as an issue as you think. Problems with language, sometimes finding the right words. Of course, if you just cannot find words and you're losing the ability, that is an issue. Also, maybe completing common tasks is also something that maybe you've always been able to fix your car or repair things, even brushing your teeth, like you just kind of forget how to do those things. So pay attention to if your loved one is like skipping things, not understanding how to do certain things. So just kind of pay attention if it's affecting their daily life. So when we think about some of the common issues, I hear a lot of things about incontinence. Now, incontinence is really the inability to hold your bodily functions or the ability to know when. So one thing I always ask people to do is to watch for the nonverbal cues. Just like your toddler, do you see them maybe pulling on their clothes or looking around, getting anxious or nervous? Pay attention to those things, because that may be a sign that they have to use the restroom. Now, another thing to remember with incontinence is you may need to always keep the bathroom door open. Now, you may be like, but they've lived in the same house, they know where the bathroom is, but that could possibly not be true. I have known people to live in the same house for 40 years, and at one point in the progression of their disease, they forget where the bathroom is. And if you kind of think about your bedroom, how many doors do you have? In my bedroom, I have 4 doors. Now, which one is the closet door? Which one is the door to the hallway? Which one is the bathroom door? If you've lost that ability, then they don't know where the bathroom is. So leaving the bathroom door open so they can visually see it helps with incontinence. Another thing to look for is identify when the accident occurs and then plan accordingly. Does this accident happen about the same time every day or surrounding the same event, like a certain time after they eat or drink or a certain time? If so, plan accordingly. If you notice that 30 minutes after to an hour after they have eaten or drinking, then they are have an issue with incontinence, then take them to the bathroom before it happens. That will really help with you and your loved one's dignity, because losing our ability to use the bathroom is really a hard thing, and it takes out on their mental capacity and just the way they feel about themselves. So empower them by helping them cut down on the accidents. Another thing is try setting a schedule. Some people put their loved ones on a 2-hour schedule, and that helps. So and remind them before time. So if they're on a 2-hour schedule, give them a little leeway, an hour and 30 minutes before, because they may not go as soon as you tell them, or you may have to prompt them a few times. So try putting them on a schedule. It helps. Another thing is clothing. Clothing is really important. So how easy is it for your loved one to remove their clothing? Do they have a belt on, and because of the disease, or they get in a hurry, is it easy or hard to remove the belt, or is it a drawstring? Make sure that the clothing become easy to remove, not only to use the restroom, but if they have an accident, you don't want to have to go through the difficulty of removing clothes that's tight. So think about the clothing that your loved one is wearing. Another thing is try incontinence products. Now, I'm going to tell you that is not the easiest thing. We as an adults, and as we get older, we know that incontinence products and we see them as like for kids, and we understand that we're losing our abilities. And a lot of people that I've come across and caregivers, their loved ones will not use them. And it's hard to get people to say, I'm going to put on an adult diaper. And we need to be really cognitive and patient when it comes to that. So maybe they won't wear the Depend, but will they use a pad, like put a pad in their chair and cover up the pad with a sheet so they don't know it's there. So try different incontinent products and try different ways, because honestly, when we step into, if it was us and we try to step into understanding, none of us wants to really put on an adult diaper. So yes, we will try not to use it. We're going to put up a fight. So step in their world for a minute and try to figure out other ways to use those products to make your life and their life easier. Now, another thing is I get calls because people talk about their loved one using the bathroom, especially number two, in different places, and number one, but you have to remove things that could be mistaken for a toilet. Now, the reality is maybe you would not mistake that object for a toilet. However, a person with Alzheimer's and dementia could quite possibly. So if I have to go and I have to go really bad and I don't know where to go, like the wastebasket may be the most convenient thing when I'm not understanding. I get a lot of calls about the shower and the toilet being mistaken. Now, because of how the brain is processing, the person can know that they're in the bathroom, but they can't recognize which item is for what. So they know the tub is in there and they know it's for something, but they use it because they can't really process which one is for. So one thing I suggest is keeping the shower door closed, and even maybe putting up a shower curtain in front of the bathtub so they can't see it, because if they can't see it, for the most part, they're not going to use it. So remove plants, waste baskets, anything that someone may mistake for the toilet. Let me see, what's our next one we're going to talk about? So let's talk about bathing a little bit. So people with dementia, they may become resistant to taking a bath, especially a shower. Those behaviors come with a lot of reasoning, and it just kind of depends on the person. They don't remember that they need to take a bath. They don't see a need for bathing. Maybe it comes with modesty. Maybe it comes from other discomforts. So we have to remember that bathing also has changed throughout the years. So a person that their bathroom and bathing behaviors were different 50, 75 years ago than we are today. So we have to kind of take those things into consideration as well. So when you are getting ready to bathe, prepare and gather all the things you need before bathing. So make sure you have all the towels, all the soap, anything you need, even the clothing, anything you know you need for bathing. Please prepare and have those items before. Make sure the room is comfortable, not comfortable for you, however, comfortable for your loved one, because their body temperature more than likely has changed. Remember, this is a brain disorder, and with the brain disorder, like our temperature gauge is in our brain. So that's why sometimes our loved ones are colder than we are, or warmer than we are, but more than likely colder because they wear layers. So imagine being cold and having to take your clothes off. So the room should be comfortable for them, not for you. So after you gather all your bath items, close the door and let it warm up so it'll be comfortable for them and not for you, which it'll probably be a little discomfort for you because it's probably going to be hotter than you're used to. Also, monitor the water temperature. So that goes back as well to making sure the water temperature is for them and not for you. So just like we do for young children, make sure that the water is not too hot. Remember, as we get older, our skin gets thinner and it's easier to burn. So make sure the water is not too hot. Along with the water temperature, if you're giving a shower, make sure that the shower is not too fast or too hard, because our skin nerve cells and all our nerves gets a little, some of our skin will get a little, and our nerves will be a little sensitive. So water coming down on someone with Alzheimer's and dementia may actually hurt. It may be that it causes tingles and it's uncomfortable. So pay attention to what's going on when as the water, if it's too hard or if it's too hot. So pay attention to that. Another thing is always protect the person's dignity and privacy. Now, for most of us, we're modest, and we don't usually allow people to shower with us or shower us. So remember that that we still have those basic instincts. Like, we do not want to take our clothes off in front of people. And depending on the caregiver, try to have the same sex caregiver. So if it's a woman, please try to have a woman. I know it's not always possible in some cases, but try to figure out how to keep their dignity and modesty intact. Not everyone is going to be open to pulling their clothes. You could be their spouse if they're dealing with Alzheimer's and dementia. Although you understand that you are their spouse, maybe they're at a point that they don't understand that you are their spouse. Maybe they don't understand what you're doing. So try to at least understand and protect their dignity. One way you can do that is wrap them in a towel and try to bathe them like with a towel kind of around them. Maybe a thin robe where they can open up. Also, try to use their hand to let them wipe themselves when possible. Like, let them lead. Even if you have to show them, hold their hand, let them take leadership in wiping their private parts. And that takes us to the next step, which make sure they have a role. Give them a purpose in the bath. Make sure that they know that they are in charge, and let them hold a towel, let them wipe, let them know that they are in charge and they have a role. The other thing we need to do a lot of times when it comes to bathing is to reevaluate your idea of clean. Now, it is true that, like I said before, that our new age sense of bathing has changed. So I just know from experience, my grandmother used to bathe in a number 10 tub, and everybody shared, and they took a bath once a week on Saturday. However, we don't bathe like that anymore. We bathe daily and a few times a day. So does that mean that that should be the standard? Not always. We're talking about older people that's probably not sweating as much. Their activity level is not high, and they really don't even feel the need to bath. So maybe reevaluating, can you get them to bathe 3 times a week? Can you get them, maybe the shower does not work and a stand-up bath works better, because in their mind they're used to the tub. So remember also that a sponge bath is always an alternative and a good way to get the bath taken care of. It may not always be, but sometimes that's the best you're going to get. So just reevaluate and remember your idea of clean and what needs to happen may be different. So adjusting your idea of what bathing is helps with the bathing issue. The next thing we're going to talk about is sundowning. Now, sundowning within itself is not a disease. I have seen people being diagnosed with sundowning, like at the ER or whatever, but it's not really a disease. It is confusion that usually occurs late in the afternoon into the night. And with this confusion, usually, or it could be anxiety and or with aggression. It just kind of depends on the person. So with this confusion, a lot of people are trying to go home. A lot of people are trying to get somewhere, do something, and it's very confusing. So just kind of depending on the person, if you think about their lives, a lot of people think they need to go home in the evenings because, that's what we do. We go to work and we go home, and we have children to take care of because they have dementia and their memory has went backwards. They've been there with you all day, and now it's time to go home and take care of family. So understanding that it is not a disease and it happens because of the confusion, and anxiety happens and aggression happens, we have to figure out ways to combat it or try to reduce it from happening. But in all aspects, there really is not a lot of ways, but let's talk about the tips to reduce. So number one is to maintain a schedule. So a lot of times caregivers say, I do maintain a schedule. And the part about maintaining a schedule is not maintaining your schedule, but your loved one's schedule. So a lot of times we try to make them fit in our world. We need to kind of fit in their world and see what works. It's so much easier for us to adapt to them than them to adapt to us. So if they get up at the same time every day, yeah, maybe you don't, it's not your favorite part of the day, but you just notice they continue to get up at the same time every day, and they want to eat at the same time every day. So maintain a schedule that they can keep and that you can kind of adjust to. Another thing is try to limit daytime napping. Now, I know it's sometimes the hardest thing to do. However, if your loved one naps throughout the day, more than likely by the time the afternoon and night get there, they're not tired anymore. Just like us, if we take a nap in the daytime, it's very difficult to go to sleep at night. So figure out a way, and in that schedule that you're talking about, try to get them some activities in. Maybe it's just walking around the house or knitting or looking at photo albums or just something that sparks their interest. That way they will not nap. That helps. Another thing is to limit caffeine. Now, think about coffee and Coke and chocolate, anything that could have caffeine in it, because the more caffeine you have, the later in the day, the most likely it is for them to have sundowning. And we have to remember that our bodies, as we get older, does not process caffeine and any other drugs in the way that they used to. So where maybe in their younger years, like caffeine did not bother them, now the way our body processes, it may stay longer. So think about caffeine. So another thing you can do in the evenings, music is amazing. So music, try playing relaxing music. Music will always help us in our lifespan. It puts you in a certain mood, it relaxes us. So maybe in the evening times, when it's about time for you to kind of shut down and try to get to bedtime, like limit the light, cut lights down, and put on some relaxing music. You can also use different kind of scents and oils to help, like lavender, to help set a relaxing mood to get ready for bedtime. Another thing is, and we really don't kind of think about this a lot because people love television, but we have to reduce activities in the evenings, including television. Television can cause like our brains to overreact if you have Alzheimer's and dementia. The fact of the matter is television can stimulate activity in a lot of our brains, even without Alzheimer's and dementia. Have you ever, because I have, watched a movie at night, and maybe it's a horror movie or it's some kind of strange movie, and I dream about it at night? Well, the same thing can happen with your dementia patient, in the fact of, but they believe it's real. I know the difference between, oh my God, I had a bad nightmare that really related to the movie I watched last night. However, if I have dementia, I can't really make that determination, and I believe it's real. And if I saw, in my imagination is very, very good. So like if I watch a scary movie, if I see a shadow, I might think it's a ghost or something in the in the room with me. However, I have enough processing to know it's just my imagination, where a person with Alzheimer's and dementia does not have that ability. The other thing is to, if it becomes really an issue, please see your doctor, because some doctors may suggest a little melatonin or some things to help relax your loved one at night. And it also could be a sign of a urinary tract infection if this sundowning happens all of a sudden. So just be aware of the things that could help reduce sundowning. Now, my favorite part of this is talking about the caregiver necessities and needs. Now, caregivers, when they go into caregiving, this caregiving journey, to be honest, we do not know what we're getting into. We have seen people caregive, we have been caregivers, and we just think we know what to do. Now, the reality is we may have some glimpse, but we don't really know what we're getting into when we become 24-hour, even part-time caregivers. It is very taxing and we don't understand. So because we don't understand, we also feel like we're failing, or we have people that feel like they're failing when you're doing the best you can. That's all you have. You're really doing a great job. And the need to be perfect as a caregiver has to be taken out. So caregiver needs. So the number one thing I always say is focus on your own needs. I know that sounds probably not the first thing you want to hear, or you like, Carolyn, that does not make sense. I'm trying to take care of my loved one. How and what am I supposed to do to take care of my own needs? If you don't take care of your own needs, then you're not going to be able to take care of the needs of your loved ones. There's a certain statistic, and off the top of my head, I can't remember, but at the age of like 70, if you're a caregiver, like a third of those caregivers die before the person that they're taking care of because of stress, and they do not take care of their own needs. So one of the most important needs is your health. So don't skip out on your own health, taking care of your loved one's health. You just cannot do it. I get many phone calls, and their loved one knows, the caregiver knows when their loved one next appointment is. They know their blood pressure. They know the medications they're taking. They know it all. So then when I say to them, so when the last time you had a checkup, what's your blood pressure? What's your stress level? They haven't been to the doctor. That's counterproductive. You have to take care of your own health needs. Eat properly, sleep, get exercise. And you don't have to exercise 30 minutes at one time a day, 5 minutes, 6 times a day. Find a way to get your body moving and make sure that you are in the best health that you need to be in to take care of your loved one. Now, emotional and mental health needs, which with caregivers as well is just as important, because we're holistic. Our mental health affects our physical health. Our physical health affects our mental and emotional health. So when you feel like that you need a break, when you feel like that you are stressed, when you feel like you have a burden, when you feel like you need help, it's absolutely true. And feeling like you need help or knowing you need help does not determine how good of a caregiver you are. The more you're able to recognize that you need help and you need rest, then you will be able to be a better caregiver. Now, mental health needs, we kind of tend away from saying that because there's a stigma with saying that my mental health needs taken care of, because we start to think that depression and grief and things like that is a sign of weakness. However, we all have mental health needs and we need to pay attention. So don't feel like you have an issue because you have depression. Don't feel like you have it. The issue is not taking care of it, because it is quite normal to have mental health needs and depression. So one way to get your needs taken care of is seek education about the disease, especially when it comes to Alzheimer's and dementia. It is very difficult to understand. So it wears caregivers out because your loved one does not understand, for the most part, not everyone, but does not understand what's going on. They do not recognize that something is wrong with them. And if they do, they may say something's wrong. However, the processing, the ability to reason, the ability to understand is not there like it has been before. So when you say to your loved one, take your medication, your blood sugar is going to go up, or if you don't take your diabetes medicine, or if you don't take your high blood pressure medicine, you're going to be sick. They don't understand those things. So we become stressed as caregivers because we don't understand how the processing has been limited, and we're trying to reason with them. So seek education about the disease and understand the processes so you are not stressed out about things that will happen. Another thing to do is to accept help. Now, I hear people all the time, and it's hard. I'm not going to tell you that it's not. We, as caregivers, a lot of times we're the strong ones and we feel like we can do it on our own, but we can't and we shouldn't. So I'll say, do you have any kind of help? And the first thing people usually say is, I don't have anyone to help me. Well, that could and could not be true. It is difficult sometimes to get help, but it's also difficult for us to ask for help and knowing what type of help to ask for. So I usually suggest to caregivers, when you're looking for help or about to ask for help, think about what the person that you're about to ask them to do is capable or willing to do. So, and any task can be seen as help. Now, I'm going to tell you, not everyone is made to be a caregiver. Not everyone is made to come sit with your loved one, to change their clothing, bathe them. However, you do have probably some people in your life that can give you other type of help to help in your journey. So, do you have someone that would make Walmart runs for you? Like, I have a friend that they love Walmart, and if I said to them, when you go to Walmart today, could you pick up a few items? They would love to do it. Now, if I asked them to come over and clean my kitchen, that's another thing. However, you may have a loved one that's willing to mow the lawn. Everything you don't have to do, that is a help to you. Maybe they can help you cook dinner. Maybe you'll have a friend and like one night a week, would you help us? Like, would you prepare a meal for us? Or could you make sure that you go pick up a rotisserie chicken for me and so I can have dinner here? So accept help and know what you need for help. Now, if you are supporting a caregiver, sometimes look around and offer them help, or just do it for them, because everybody is not open and it takes a little time for all of us to get there and accepting help. So if you see someone that's a caregiver and they're struggling, maybe you could come play cards with them with their loved one while they take a nap. That's help, because getting sleep is a hard thing when you're taking care of someone with Alzheimer's and dementia. So maybe you come over and watch TV with their loved one while they go garden. Every little thing helps. So think about and redefine what help means to you and what kind of help that would actually help you. Another thing, and that the accept help leads into respite care. So respite care is short breaks. So they can be planned or unplanned. They don't have to be a week-long vacation. It could be 30 minutes. It could be half a day. Somebody give you respite so you can go get your hair done or take a nap. Seek respite care. At Alzheimer's Arkansas, we provide funds to help seek respite care so caregivers can continue to do the great job they're doing while taking care of themselves. So figure out who can help you with respite care. There's some great places around the city, a little like the state of Arkansas, that some churches provide respite care, like 1 day a week respite care. So Google respite care in your area and see what resources are available out there. It is okay, and you need to take short breaks. You should not be doing this alone. Another thing is participate in a support group or build a support system. So I go back to the accept help when I talk about building a support system. So no, support groups, we love support groups. Every time I meet with a support group, you just figure out how important it is for people that share the same experience to meet together. Yes, because of COVID-19, it has become a little bit more difficult to attend formal support groups. However, there are support groups on Zoom. You can build your own support system, finding someone that shares the experience and just will listen to you, because the reality is this is hard and you need someone to tell about your hard days and tell about those difficult things. It's not always easy to tell someone that you're feeling weak and you have weaknesses and you don't want to do this anymore and you're tired today and you can't carry on. So having somebody that understands those feelings and will not judge you is very important. So build a support system. What goes back to the accept help, because sometimes your support system may just be the person you can call on to say, hey, I'm just having a rough day, and they'll listen to you. Or, hey, can you come just sit with me today? Like, just be there for me. Or could you make a meal? Or could you run to the store? So that support system is going to be very, very important in the success of your caregiving experience. Let me say the next one. So, all in all, the care you give to yourself is the care you're going to give to your loved one. You cannot not care for yourself and think it's not going to hinder the care of your loved one. And many times, the best way that we're best, even as parents, as workers, is when we take care of ourselves. So remember in your caregiving journey, the necessity to take care of yourself. If you don't get anything else out of my presentation, the best you will be the best caregiver. So I really want to thank you for spending time with me today. If you have any questions or comments that you would like us to answer, please leave them in the comment section, and we will get to those in the end of the week. So thank you again, and have a good day.